I'm going to show you today a couple settings you're going to want to have going prior to your first Zoom meeting with your classes, such as breakout rooms, polls, and how to set up a recurring meeting after we're done with that, and then being able to add Jen and Calissa as co-hosts so they can kind of pop in and see your classes as they're going on. So you're going to first want to make sure you sign into Zoom. It's just zoom.us. And you're just going to click that sign in with Google and then obviously use your school account. From there, on the left-hand side, you're going to see settings. Over here, you can see I'm hovering my cursor over that. When you click on that, it's a little daunting. There's a lot of stuff in here. As you can see by my scroll bar on the right, there's a lot of stuff. A couple things that I'm going to suggest when it comes to features to have turned on, things to turn off. The first thing you're going to see is waiting room. So this, it places them in a waiting room, which sounds nice. The only problem is you have to admit them individually. So this might not seem like that big of a deal, but if you have a student, like let's say that shows up late to your Zoom meeting, you would have to go in, and at the bottom you'll get a notification that this student is trying to join the class, and you'd have to individually go and let them in. I keep this turned off, but I'll show you later on what I do to kind of circumnavigate that to make it a little bit easier, but also safe. So I'm going to just scroll down, and as you see, as I'm scrolling, there's a ton of stuff here. When it comes to settings, like if you want the host video on, participants video on as soon as they come on, that's totally up to you. I personally just keep everything off, and then I turn those on. The other thing right here, this is the circumnavigating of the waiting room, and it's join before host. Allow participants to join the meeting before the host arrives. I always have that checked off. So this is what's going to happen is your students are going to try and join your Zoom room. And when they try to, if you're not in there, they're going to have a white box pop up that just lets them know that the room's not open yet. As soon as the host joins, they'll be let in. So I would make sure that this is turned off so that they are in, we'll just call it a waiting room. But as soon as you join, they're allowed in, which is really nice. And then you don't have to go and individually admit them into that classroom. As we scroll down, chat, for me, I would want to make sure I have that chat on. Private chat, this is up to you if you want them to be able to have this. Basically, this would allow them to private chat with other students. So for me, it's totally up to you. I would turn it off, but that's just me. From there, co-host. Allow the host to add co-hosts. You're going to want to make sure you turn this feature on. We're going to, at the end, add Jen and Calissa to your Zoom room as a co-host so they can pop in. And so we want to make sure that that is turned on. Next, we have polling. This is kind of a little cool feature that they have. It's where you can actually create polls and then have them answer that. If this is something you'd be interested in, I would go ahead and turn that on now. And then screen sharing. So when it comes to screen sharing, this is if you want to make it so that host and participants can screen share. Basically, just turn on that feature. If you want it so that the host can only share, meaning you would want to turn that off. And if you want everyone, including the participants, to be able to share their screen, this is what you would click to turn that on. It is kind of nice if your students are able to share, what they're doing. Basically, if they try and share their screen, you would get a notification that they're trying to share their screen with you, or with the class, I should say. And you would still have to kind of accept it. So there is that barrier, but it's really up to you if you want to have students be able to share their screens during your Zoom. Next, I'm just going to scroll down. Whiteboard. Go ahead and keep that on. It's not as good as Jamboard, but it is there. I know a lot of teachers will open up a Zoom and share their screen and then just have a Jamboard there already. So totally up to you if you want to have that on. Meeting reactions. This is if you want them to have that emoji option at the bottom, like the thumbs up or the clapping. Once again, totally up to you. Me personally, I could see that just getting a little annoying, like a kid's hitting it over and over again, but completely up to you with how you want to use that. In Meeting Advanced, there's a couple things that you're going to want to turn on. Breakout room, it is automatically turned off. You're going to want to turn that on, and then this is up to you. This checkbox, allow hosts to assign participants to breakout rooms when scheduling. So this is where if you were to send this to groups of people, you can then go and kind of pre-put them in those rooms. But to be honest, just because of the way we're going to be sharing these with our students, this probably isn't very feasible because they're just going to be clicking on that link you're going to provide. But luckily, it's pretty easy to get them broken up into their to the room. So if you're using this for collaboration purposes, if you're using this for like reading groups, anything like that, you want to make sure that this is checked on. Besides that, the only other thing, virtual backgrounds, if you want them to have it so that they have that background that they can use, that's totally up to you. And you'll want to make sure that, actually you don't. So there's no like submit button. There's no, apply button here. As long as you turn that on, you'll be good to go with that. So how we're going to actually create now our recurring meeting that we'll have, you'll just go up here to schedule a meeting. And I'm going to go ahead and just name this Rubo test meeting. And this is where you're going to want to really make sure you do this correct, is recurring meeting. And the duration. So what you can do is, obviously, if we're starting every day, at that 8 a.m. time, let's say, I'm just going to go and make this 8 a.m. I'm just going to have this for 5 hours. And this is going to occur every day. And it's going to repeat every day. And this is where the end date. So you can change this. You can go and edit later. I know they said that we're going to have those first 3 weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and just for this purpose, make it so that this is going to be until that September 11th. And then you have these options. So video, do you want it to automatically turn the host and participant video on as soon as they join, or do you want it to have those off? I definitely recommend audio, obviously making sure this is both. And this right here, mute participants upon entry. This is huge because a lot of times when kids join, there's a lot of background noise happening. Click this because they'll just come in and they'll automatically be muted. Enable join before host. You don't want that checked because then students would be able to get in there before you are. Breakout room pre-assigned. So if you do click on that, this is where you can go and create those breakout rooms. Record the meeting automatically. So if you want to, as soon as you enter, it'll go ahead and do that. Right here, this is where you want to make sure that you add Jen and Calissa in there. That way they're hosts as well for your rooms. When you're done, you just hit save and you'll be brought here. You're going to also get a Google form that you're going to need to fill out. That is going to be basically you just put in your grade level, your name, and then your Zoom invite link. So to do that, I'm actually just going to go here and hit copy invite. And we have all this, everything's here. You don't need to go and copy and paste all of this. That's just not needed. Instead, if you just right click on here and then copy link address. And this already has the password embedded into it. It's got the room embedded into it. And now I can go into that Google form and put that in that URL. And that way we have everyone's Zoom meeting room. And so it's a little bit easier to hop in and out when we need to. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.